welcome. My name is Amit Shemesh, and I'm going to be your MC for tonight. And I just want to say I'm so excited, and I think I speak on behalf of all of Darrowers. We're so thrilled to see everyone here in person. So welcome. So here's what we have planned for this evening. First of all, a lot of fun, but the general plan is that we'll have a talk about the state of legal technology in 2025, followed by a toast, some live jazz being set up over there, drinks and bites. And I want to invite our two first speakers of the night, Evya and Etia, and I want to introduce them with some fun facts about them. If that's okay. That some of you might not know.
We're a little nervous.
I'll start by Etia, our VP of Partnerships, who's been at Darrow for
4 years.
4 years. And the fun fact that you might not know about her is that she delivered the dogs, or her dog, and now she...
Not for myself, I should say.
No, she had a dog, and the dog gave birth, and Etia delivered the puppies in her living room. And one of the puppies, she
resuscitated.
She resuscitated one of the puppies. Now, why am I telling you this? You might ask yourself, why does this matter? Great question. Etia is the definition of a woman of valor. She is. I don't know many women that are so capable in so many different things. So Etia. And we're also here with Evyatar Ben ARtzi, our co-founder and CEO, with another fun fact. Are you ready? So Evya has a lot of fun facts about him. Anyone who knows him knows that he's a man full of fun facts. But the chosen fun fact is that whilst he was camping in Europe, just, in a tent out in the wild, the Romanian police thought that he was a fugitive. And And
you can see that.
Look at him, you can understand. And they came to his tent and he walked out, naked-ish. And now he's our CEO. So, guys, thank you. And welcome, everyone.
Welcome.
Thank you, Amit.
Thank you, Amit.
So we're basically going to start. I'm Evya.
I'm Etia.
And so we'll talk about the state of legal technology right now in 2025. It's because we're a legal technology company. That's the event you're here for. So we'll try to explain how we view it, why we think the market should be organized a little bit different, and the categories of the market should be a little bit different, and what we think lawyers should do today, given those specific shifts. So let's start.
Yes. Who is this person?
Does anyone know who this person is? Clarence Darrow is one possibility, but the hint is that it isn't. Don Bivens with a save. It's Galileo. And what you can see him holding is a telescope, which a lot of people will mistakenly think that he invented, but he did not. Actually, a Dutch spectacle maker invented the telescope. Galileo used this telescope, and he gave it a different purpose, a different goal. So basically, the telescopes before Galileo's time were used for ships. Sailors would spot land, spot other ships, know how to navigate. And soldiers would use them to look to the distance. But Galileo was one of the first people to actually point that telescope to the stars, to the sky. And he discovered a different purpose for the telescope. The goal now was not to spot the next thing on the horizon or to make sure that your tasks are all, completed. But actually it was to see the universe around you, understand what are the organizing powers. And when you really put a telescope to work like that, it actually changes your perception. When you understand the universe, then you can see the logic that runs it, the organizing laws of the universe.
Mechanisms.
The mechanisms, yeah. So I guess with that, I'll say I'm really interested in the way that these social structures affect society. And I guess the law, in a sense, is one of those social structures. So if you build a road near a town, people are going to live there, right? Even if it's a distant town, now that you have a road, people are going to go there. If you look at the sky, you can really find with a telescope the laws organizing the universe. And if you look at the law in a different way, you can organize society differently, and you can help people, save them from risk and harm. And I guess the last piece here is to say that law is a kind of technology. Joshua Fairfield kind of says that it's a social technology built by humans out of cooperative fictions, right? So we make all sorts of assertions and assumptions and use them together to regulate society in a different way. That's what the law does.
And it's interesting because you don't necessarily think of law as technology in that sense, right?
It's actually the opposite.
Exactly.
Yeah, most people think about law as a very archaic thing, and about lawyers, frankly, I'm sorry everyone here, as archaic people. But we were the first, and I'm saying this as if I was there, but we were the first to create archives and store data.
Use print in a.
Yeah, we were the first to store things like the way that they would be accessible later on. We were the first to codify knowledge. That was the role of lawyers for thousands of years, to codify knowledge about how societies should run, about how we could regulate human behavior in a way that makes society better. Yeah.
And we still do that.
We still do that, yeah. So we'll talk about the legal technology landscape today. We'll reorganize law around risk. And then we'll talk about creativity, that force of shifting the telescope to the sky, changing the goal as the force of expansion.
Yeah.
Etia, please.
Yeah, so hi. So good to see everyone here. These, you can click another one. These are some pictures that I initially did not authorize to include in this deck. However, there was severe peer pressure to include them.
It's my pressure.
Yes. But as you can see, just taking a moment, like in the space that we are, to also celebrate this and the growth that, all of you had a part in. That was the little office that we started in August 2021. That was the first time that we had a partnership in August 2021 from the US. And it's really exciting to see. And I say back then, the legal market was considered niche, but it's very much not there anymore. And if you think about where you were with technology in 2021 versus where you are with it right now, I mean, it's not a long time, 4 years, but so much has changed.
So much has changed.
Oh yeah, let's show how much. Yeah, I mean, today the legal market is forecasted by 2034 to reach $65 billion. And even with this number, it's really the tip of the iceberg.
It's nowhere near the legal market. Which, does anyone know what the legal market size is? It's $1 trillion. Legal services is worth $1 trillion in revenues every year. And legal tech is somehow forecasted to be less than 10% of that. I guess that's a question in and of itself, why that happens.
We're going to talk about it.
Yeah.
No, for sure. And going back, I mean, even to my first day, Darrow, I had the head of R&D explain to me what an NLP was or what an LLM was, which at the time I was mistaken to think it was a law degree, and it was not. And so much has changed. Every person that comes into this office today clearly knows what it's all about. You all know what it's all about. And it's really incredible to see how we've embraced this technology, and there's so much more to do.
Yeah, I guess there was a moment back in November 2022 when things changed a little bit. LLMs became at the forefront because ChatGPT was out, and everyone kind of understood you could create language out of nowhere, and you could read language very fast. Okay, what does that mean? And I guess everyone was like, well, let's use it for legal, right?
That's a natural...
Lawyers used words.
Yes, we don't like numbers.
Yeah.
Yes. we're going to kind of look, and they say in the military, every good thing is divided into 3 sections. So you're going to see that theme. But when you look at the growth, there are really 3 main drivers to that. We're going to talk about AI, we're going to talk about data, and we're going to talk about legal complexity as a measurement. But if we kind of go to AI for a second, let me ask, by a show of hands, how many of you use a GPT once a day? Okay, that's very good. Nissan, don't lie.
These guys lying?
Yes. How many of you use it once a week? Okay. How many of you don't use it? Well, it's interesting because you think you're not using it, but you really are when you're Googling, but also even when you're just writing pasta on Amazon, when you're shopping, you're really using AI and you're using a GPT. And so it's interesting, it's everywhere. And legal teams are using it as well. We use it to generate pleadings, we use it to process data, and so much more. And that's a significant shift in the way that we work.
Yeah, I think the AI piece is, a lot of it is about content generation, right? Like the amount of content that is being generated by AI today is crazy. Like I think a lot of the big tech CEOs are talking today about this world of all of the code is being generated by AI. We're like 2 or 3 years from a moment where the code of the big products that we use all the time is being generated by AI. Which kind of sounds crazy, but if you think about it, how close are we to a world where most of the contracts, most of the judgments, most of the pleadings are being generated with the help of AI? We're not very far from that. We might be already there.
We are. I mean, we're all seeing those decisions, right, about pleadings and complaints generated by AI and what that yields. And so it's already there and
Those
it's happening.
embarrassing pleadings where...
We'll call them, for the purpose of this conversation, phantom arguments.
Phantom arguments. I like that.
Yes, it's not as crazy as hallucinations. But yeah, it's out there. And so, and that, by the way, content, speaking of content, that's the second driver, which is data. We all know this from every walk of life. We are surrounded by an abundance of data, whether it's 1,000 emails from school, or
choosing what to watch on Netflix.
Yeah, it is social media. It is everywhere.
Politics.
It is politics. It's an abundance of data. And that abundance of data brings its own complexities with it, because when you have a lot of information about what's happening, just taking it to the legal context, then you, as a law, as an organizing law, you need to make sure that you have the right rules to make sure that you get the right results, because you now know about so many granularities of each situation, and you now know that a certain law, well, it doesn't work well for that little tweak in the situation and that little tweak in the situation. And so that creates another abundance, another flow of data, and another complexity, which is the legal complexity. Legal complexity is actually an academic term. It's meant to measure how easy or not easy it is to operate in the society, in this legal system that you have. Do you know what to do? Or are there so many granular rules that it's just so complex to handle? And the two really work together, and it's like one creates the other and creates the other and creates the other. And now the question becomes, as lawyers, what do we do with that, right?
Yeah, it's like, imagine you're Rachel, who's a GC at a company, and you need to come up with the right policy when we open a new branch somewhere in the world. The amount of information you're supposed to consume before making the decision on what policy that would be, the amount of data that goes into that decision, the amount of regulations and laws that you're supposed to know, it becomes like not humanly possible to actually grasp all of that.
What was it? 163 zettabytes of of growing number of sensors and information from that research in 2025. It's crazy.
Yeah,
I didn't even know what a zettabyte was.
Yeah, it's a measurement of data, but we are today in a world where data is just overflowing and exploding. And if you really want to know what to do, right? You want to know how to navigate or how to apply the law to a certain situation, you need so much data to be collected. But after it was collected, you need to apply all of the regulations to it. And that creates real complexity. It's just hard to comprehend the law. That's the state of things today.
And you need to uncover it. You need to understand that it's going on, which means the haystack is just incredible.
It's large.
It's large.
So this is what we do, right? This is the response of the legal tech market. I urge you not to try to read this because it's tough, right? There are so many different startups. We have 425 startups in the last 2 years joining legal technology, which is a crazy number. And alongside that, this is just one part of one market map for litigation tools.
Right, there are other types of attorneys.
Right? So if this is confusing to you, how about this one, right? And this one is from 2021. This is the state of the market, and what they're doing here is trying to, instead of telling you what the function of that tool is, what kind of workflow it helps you with, this will tell you who's the user, right? Who's the user? So it's B2C and B2B and law firms and, okay, but why are they using it? And maybe this market map, Nicola, can help us. So this market map is basically telling us, look at, this is February 2025, look at the abundance of different tools that lawyers need to know, given the fact that you're doing a little bit of contracts and some litigation, you're supposed to know almost all of this.
And you may ask yourself, why do I care? Definitely asked that question as we were preparing for this.
She literally asked that question.
I'm being honest. I'm an honest person. I tell the truth.
Yeah.
And the question really is, you need to ask yourself, what do you do and how does it further you in your practice? I mean, at the end, these are all use cases for different tasks, but is this really what we're aiming to do? We were talking earlier how, like, if you were to describe to your child, what does mommy do? What does daddy do, right? You're not gonna tell them that you make sure that your inbox is at 0. That's a task. That's not what we do. That's not our goal. And we tend to sometimes forget it. And I think the market tends to forget it sometimes. And they aim for the task. They look at the ship. They don't aim at the goal. We kind of, reminding everyone we love 3 in 3s. We wrote a little haiku.
It doesn't really work with the poetic kind of idea of haiku.
Yes, no, it's an inspirational haiku. Yes, no. It's we take some creative liberties here at Darrow.
Creative lawyers.
Creative lawyers, you're gonna hear that term. But I think these are the 3 questions that you need to ask yourself, and you can choose the line that speaks more to your kind of sub task or sub. I don't want to call it task really,
It's
but like
a purpose, right?
It's a purpose.
It's a role.
Yeah.
I'm either a plaintiff lawyer, a corporate lawyer, an insurer, or a funder. We even have one of our investors, Georgian, who we have 2 representatives here. They built a board game to explain how venture capital investing works, and that inspired us to build a board game. So Gila and I built a board game a while ago, I think 2 years ago now, where it is basically funders, insurers, corporates, and plaintiff law firms are all kind of working on the same board, trying to figure out how to allocate risk.
And we are all part of this organizing mechanism that we're trying to understand how to operate in.
Yeah, so if you're a plaintiff lawyer, you're basically doing 3 things. You're investigating, evaluating, and litigating. And if you're a corporate lawyer, you're investigating, evaluating, and mitigating. Right?
And so really what you want to ask yourself is, out of that previous slide, if you have any of those on your computer, is it really serving me in doing any of this? Or is it not? And of course, is there anything that can do all 3? Which would probably is ideal.
Yeah. I think like the goal at the end of the day is the legal risk itself, right? That's the object that the whole system is around, and kind of trying to organize the system in a different way, right? Each of the businesses that we just talked about, the businesses in the legal system, have this risk funnel in mind, right? There are a lot of risks out there. There's the awareness layer, then the assessment layer, and at the end, resolution. And it feels sometimes that the market map for legal technology is very much skewed to the resolution piece. How do you resolve a specific issue, a contract, litigation? But what about the top of the funnel, the awareness layer and the assessment layer? It's very hard to kind of think about it, but all of the business of all of the 4 businesses we just talked about comes from the awareness layer at the end of the day. You need to be aware of the fact that there is risk out there that needs to be litigated or mitigated or adjudicated or speculated about.
We
Yeah,
don't speculate.
yeah,
We
we're not speculating.
No. And it's hard to do that, right, with the abundance of data. How do you make sure that you're assessing it the right way? The most expensive thing for us is our time at the end of the day. In 2025, our time is something that you can't replace. So you want to make sure you're putting it in the right place. It's very hard to do it when there's abundance of data. How do you know what's going on? What am I looking at? Am I spending my time in the right place?
Yeah, when you even look at these market maps, these are all tools that could help you achieve the purpose. But the question goes back to what that purpose is. What is the goal? The goal is to do something with legal risk, right? So it's always a question to ask, I'm in the investigation stage. I need to find something out, a new risk, becoming aware of it. That's the first step. And then evaluating the severity of that risk, and at the end, deciding how to resolve it. And some of these tools could be really helpful. But the question, again, comes back to, if I have so much time on my hands, and lawyers have an abundance of time, right? That's all they have. Then you kind of need to ask yourself, well, how am I treating that resource, which is scarce, right? I don't have a lot of it. The best thing one can do with their time in the age where AI is kind of allowing you to do everything is to think about what to do with their time, which is kind of weird and paradoxical. Yeah. So this is the world of risk. And let's kind of point the telescope there, right? But when you look up at that, you're kind of seeing the awareness, the assessment, and the resolution. The world is filled with legal risk out there. Every piece of news that you read has legal risk attached to it. And every data point in the world has legal risk attached to it. It's kind of a score that is there with the information we consume. It's there with all of the abundance of content and the zettabytes of data. It's there. The question is, are we listening? Are we becoming aware of that risk? Are we analyzing it and evaluating whether we should use our time to resolve that specific risk? That's basically the basic question. So let's talk about creativity for a sec. Because who can really do that? The creative lawyer, right? And I think it's sometimes used as a derogatory term to say someone is a creative lawyer. Those creative lawyers out there.
That's creative.
That's creative.
That's creative.
But creativity is kind of a force of expansion. Any plaintiff law firm that wants to get the next case knows that there's someone creative sitting there thinking about the next piece that no one else has ever seen. Or a lot of people saw it, but they kind of went by it, right? We have this story at Darrow. I think one of our, you're gonna hate me for saying this because this is off script and everything, but one of the events we had, the SKO, the sales kickoff for 2025, we talked about serendipity and the idea that Moses, as he travels in the desert, walks and finds that burning bush. And the text is kind of weird on that because what it really says is that he goes to look and then he finds the burning bush, which is a thing that not many people do. Most of the people would just walk with their sheep and continue, right? But he was like, there is a burning bush there. I'll go see what it's about. So many people probably saw that burning bush and were like, I have something to do. I have a task. I'm using this tool.
I'm
to
looking
get
at the ships.
Yeah,
I'm looking at the ships. I can't point it up.
And so going and finding that serendipitous opportunity in the middle of the desert, in the middle of the wilderness, that's kind of the idea of the creative lawyer. They have a set of eyes, and they're not just looking at what everyone's looking at. They're deciding where to look. The attention is the basis of this.
If you think about your favorite case, what you learned in law school, it's always the ones when people took and got a creative angle on an existing piece of legislation that no one else thought of before. And that's how you win, right?
Yeah, and it's going back to, like, I think when we started out Darrow and we were trying to sell things to law firms, everyone was looking at us like,
What?
I'll say this, like, I sent a LinkedIn message to one of our clients who's not here today, Katrina, and she didn't answer for a while. So I went to one of my coaches and I showed him the message that I sent her, and he's reading it out in front of me and saying, like, and Dan, maybe you remember this because this happened with Kevin. So Kevin's looking at the message. He's like, okay, so you told her that you have an AI company and you want to sell her AI. What does she care? Why would she care about AI? Like, that's an interesting concept, but that's not the thing you're selling. What are you selling? So I was like, well, if she uses our AI, she can get a lot of cases and make a lot of money. Like, okay, so lead with what you're selling, right? Like, tell her you're selling cases.
And remember, what's her goal?
Yeah, that was the goal, right? The goal was to resolve more legal risk. And I think going back to, like, what we were trying to do, we were always trying to find that creative spark that people looked at in law firms and in law school originally. What was the reason I went to law school? Why did I become a lawyer? There was always something a little bit benevolent about it. Yeah. And I know also money, right? But also some values. There were some values.
Definitely, there were values.
Looking for things about creativity, one gets to Albert Einstein saying creativity is intelligence having fun. And like, I want us to have some fun right now.
I want us to have some fun right now too.
So the next piece we'll do is just we'll ask Torch what creativity for lawyers is, and I think that's how we'll start. So this is Torch, and Etia can explain what that is.
Well, Torch is our very own AI product that has been training for a long, long time on only legal materials, and ask them the question. It sits on your browser and reads what you're reading and helps you comprehend it.
Yeah, so basically what's going on right now is creativity for lawyers refers to the ability to approach legal problems, arguments, and client needs in novel, effective, and sometimes unconventional ways, while still operating within the boundaries of the law. And
you have to operate within the boundaries of the law.
And professional ethics.
Yes.
In the context of the presentation you're viewing, creativity as a force for expansion, it's highlighted as a key theme, suggesting that creativity is not just about artistic expression, but about expanding the possibilities of legal practice, strategy, and client service. What does creativity look like for lawyers? And Torch will go on and tell us this, but I just want you to note that it is reading the presentation as we are in it. And now here's a demo from Sean using Torch.
Hey everyone, Sean here. I'm on the solutions team. One way that I've been using Torch is with our medical product liability dashboards. I'm sure many of you are aware, but we've essentially created these dashboards for dangerous drugs and dangerous devices. And I've been using Torch to see if I can find any leads and just trying to be creative with it. So when we first started looking for violations in this space, we realized that there's a ton of data, but the problem was it's unstructured and scattered. And if anybody wants to get really angry, go ahead and log into the FDA FAIRS database or FDA mod and just try and play around with it. It's super frustrating. So we've essentially created this dashboard which allows people to more easily look for violations in this space. And I'll just walk you through a little bit of how I use Torch and try and find some violations. So here in the US, it's football season, which means that now we have to watch commercials because it's a live event and it's not something where commercials are edited out. So it feels like every 15 or 20 minutes, I'm being told to talk to my doctor about something. And then about 30 seconds later, they tell me all the terrible, terrible things that are going to happen if I take the drug. So I don't talk to my doctor, but I want to see what other sort of side effects and things can happen that they're not being so transparent about. So when watching football, I saw a ton of ads for Skyrizi. So again, not super knowledgeable about medical products or devices. So honestly, I just started by asking, what is Skyrizi? So while Torch thinks, I realized pretty early on, after barely making it through Chem 2, that law school was not for me, or sorry, medical school was not for me. So pivoted and went to law school. So here we can see, so just to reiterate, I'm not an expert. Anything that I find today, maybe it's a violation, maybe it's not. But Torch allows you to become an expert. So let's dive in here. We can see Skyrizi is used to treat certain autoimmune conditions. Again, I told you I'm not an expert, so let's have it explain it like I am 5. Okay, so now this is something I can understand. Helps people when their skin or tummy gets very sore. That doesn't sound great. People get it as a shot. Interesting, kind of like a vaccine, and helps them feel better. That sounds pretty good. So let's go ahead and see what kind of reactions people taking Skyrizi have. So you can see here, we searched Skyrizi in our dashboard, and there's 105 reactions with more than 100 events. I already mentioned, right, like they sort of tell you all the side effects, the major ones that it seems like at the end of the commercial, but let's go ahead and filter down and see ones that they're not being so transparent about and the reaction's not on the label. So you can see here we filtered through and then there's less results. And I'm more interested in the high severity ones, like what are they really not telling us? And we can drill down here, right? As I said before, not an expert. Cerebrovascular accident, I have no idea what that is. So let's ask Torch. According to the FDA, what is this? Probably didn't spell that right, but thankfully we have Torch, and it's able to pull it. And okay, stroke. That's not great, right? What did it say earlier? Helps people when their skin or tummy gets very sore. I don't know if I would take a stroke over that. But then we can see like here, there's a bunch of other interesting data points. So there's been 430 since 2018. I think the thing that I really like about Torch is it sort of leads you on a path, right? Like we have all these data points and now I'm starting to become more curious. What other information do I need to figure out or find? What can I filter out the noise to see if there is causation here? So maybe a question I have is, right, there are 430 strokes. How many people are taking Skyrizi? So we can just say, check the web. How many people are taking Skyrizi? See what we have here. So more than 200,000 patients. That's a lot. So then still keep asking questions, right? Like, okay, here are the patient demographic summary. We can see that median age is 66, median weight is 87 kilograms. So maybe now I want to know what the average demographics of people in the US that have strokes are. Okay, so we can see that stroke risk increases with age. Most strokes occur in people age 65. So okay, that's pretty in line with what we're seeing here with the median age. Then it breaks it down by gender. It says women have a slightly higher lifetime risk, partly because they live longer. So that's a little bit different than what we're seeing here, where males have 53.29% of the strokes. Then it breaks it down by race and ethnicity, other factors, and a nice little table here. As we keep going through, then there's a report submission trend. And one thing that's sticking out to me is that Q3 looks like the highest point in every year. So now I'm starting to think, are there any seasonality differences when it comes to strokes? So maybe we type in strokes in the time of year, see if anything holds here. Right, so it's saying there's a higher incidence in winter. So just based on that, I would expect Q4 to be the highest when it's not. So maybe something to dig in a little bit more. And lastly, we have different studies. So you can see here, we have two medical studies where there's a suggestive or possible link between strokes and taking Skyrizi, but let's just ask Torch. Studies. See if we can pull anything. All right, let's see if there's anything. Let's try again. Okay, awesome. So it was able to find some stuff, and we can see here clinical trials, post-marketing surveillance. Let's go ahead and click on one of the studies. This is too long, and I don't know what any of that means. So let's just go ahead and ask Torch to give us a summary and conclusion. Got a little too quick with it. Was still answering, but let's go ahead and get a summary and conclusion of this medical journal. Let's see. Right, so it says clinical trials did not show an increased risk. Post-marketing analysis suggests a greater likelihood of stroke with people taking Skyrizi. Right, so that was in what, a couple minutes, we were able to potentially find some sort of violation. Let's go ahead and ask it to create a memo about Skyrizi and strokes. Awesome. So you can see in what, less than 10 minutes, we've maybe potentially uncovered a legal violation, and I can send this to somebody who knows what they're doing, and maybe we can look into a little bit more. So just a quick overview of Torch and how I'm using it with our medical dashboards.
So we're going to wrap up. What we're basically saying is one simple thing: your point of view matters, right? It should be grounded in the data, like Torch does, right? It's on your browser, so it sees what you see. It's grounded in what you're researching, and it's making sure those facts are getting into the product of the LLM. You're not getting the hallucination. You're actually building something. But your point of view matters. The people who are experts and can use these tools make a real difference in the world. And at the end of the day, it's not about looking for the next ship or the next workflow to solve, but rather looking at the stars, seeing legal risk, the object, the goal of what we're trying to do here, resolving legal risk and getting to a better world.
And we're proud to doing it together with you. So
thank you for your partnership.
Thank you.
I will invite Matthew.
Brilliant. Should I use this?
Matthew is our Chief Revenue Officer, right? Maybe you don't know that. So welcome, Matthew.
Hi, thank you. Thank you, Evia. and Sean and Etia. First, my name is Matthew, Chief Revenue Officer and GM for our U.S. business based here in New York. It's great to have so many of you here with us. We've been looking forward to this night for a long time. This is actually our first event bringing so much of our community together to go and do great things together. So, welcome. A couple of call-outs. We've got a wonderful number of clients here, some of whom have been with us for 5+ years from the very beginning. Ben, Greg, welcome. And, oh, and we have with us a number of partners who help make us successful. Don, Boris, Daniela, welcome. And investors, Georgian, who believe in us and just how much we can do to shape this market. And our employees, both from New York and many of you from Israel. Welcome. You make this a wonderful place to work. So thank you all for building this community with us. It's what makes this work. I also don't want to stand between drinks and dinner, as Sean highlighted. But just a few milestones I think it's worth calling out to celebrate. First, we're in our 5th year. I think the stat is 95% of startups fail. So we are well beyond that stage and thrilled to be here with all of you. We were also acknowledged this year as one of the best places to work by Inc., which is one you don't pay for, you actually have to earn. And we've had a number of business milestones driven by many of you here. We exceeded our 2024 numbers in August of this year, and so growing at almost 100% a year. So thank you all for being a part of making that happen. And as we sort of showcased a little bit here, we've been building technology for 5 years and have never really put it into client hands. And some of those powerful tools are now coming out of our own legal intelligence teams, our own research teams, and being put into our client hands. And Torch is one of the first examples of that. And we're thrilled to go live with clients who are now in the beta with us. And if you're not on the wait list, you like what you saw tonight, dive in, explore, and we're all ears on feedback and see huge potential in terms of bringing all of this data and information to your fingertips. And finally, we outgrew our space, which is why we're all here in new space. And have invested in making sure we have a wonderful place to work and grow with all of you. If you have a moment tonight, take a look around the names of the rooms. They're all named after a historic milestone in the legal world and the journey for justice, with an explainer as to why they are named as such. And they all tell a great story. So take a moment to take that walk. But with that, I think we are setting a new standard for collaboration, for building together, and ultimately building a successful business and a successful partnership in the pursuit of justice. And so I'd ask you all to, for those of you that have a drink, anyone who needs a drink, to raise a toast. Yeah. Woo! I need mine. Here we go. Okay. And with that, we can turn the lights on. Or start the music.